The 21st Century Global Economy and Financial Crises. 1. Causes and Impacts of the 2008 Global Financial Crisis. The 2008 global financial crisis stands as the most significant economic collapse since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Originating in the United States, its causes were deeply rooted in the deregulation of financial markets, widespread securitization of high-risk mortgages, and systemic risk-taking within global banking systems. The crisis revealed fundamental vulnerabilities in modern capitalism, including over-leverage, lack of transparency, and moral hazard. Causes: subprime mortgage collapse. Financial institutions extended mortgage loans to subprime borrowers with poor credit histories. These loans were bundled into mortgage-backed securities, MBS, and sold to investors worldwide. When U.S. housing prices began to fall in 2006-2007, defaults surged and MBS values plummeted. Financial derivatives and risk mispricing. Complex financial instruments, such as collateralized debt obligations, CDOs, and credit default swaps, CDS, masked underlying risks. Institutions grossly underestimated potential losses. Leverage and bank interdependence. Investment banks operated on dangerously high leverage ratios, relying heavily on short-term funding. The global financial network meant that failures quickly spilled across borders. Regulatory failures. Central banks and regulators, particularly the U.S. Federal Reserve and the SEC, failed to adequately supervise financial institutions and allowed shadow banking to thrive without oversight. B. Impacts. Global recession. The crisis triggered a worldwide recession in 2008-2009. Global GDP contracted, trade volumes plummeted, and industrial output fell sharply. Unemployment and inequality. Millions lost jobs, particularly in developed economies. Youth unemployment and long-term joblessness rose. Wealth inequality widened as asset owners recovered faster than labor markets. Monetary and fiscal response. Central banks launched unprecedented monetary easing such as quantitative easing, QE, while governments implemented stimulus packages to revive demand. However, these also led to public debt surges. Reform and regulation. New financial regulations emerged, including the Dodd-Frank Act, U.S. and Basel III international banking standards. These aimed to increase transparency, reduce leverage, and improve capital buffers. 2. The rise of China's economy and shifts in global economic power. In the 21st century, China has emerged as a transformative force in the global economy, challenging the traditional dominance of Western economies. China's economic transformation. Since initiating economic reforms in 1978, China has transitioned from a centrally planned system to a market-oriented one, growing at an average annual rate of nearly 10% for 4 decades. Key drivers include export-led growth. China became the world's manufacturing hub, driven by low labor costs, infrastructure investment, and integration into global supply chains. Urbanization and infrastructure. Massive investments in roads, ports, railways, and urban housing fueled domestic demand and created spillover effects across industries. State capitalism. A unique model combining state-owned enterprises, SOEs, with private sector dynamism, enabled strategic resource mobilization while ensuring state control over key sectors. B. Global shifts in economic power. From G7 to G20, as China, India, Brazil, and other emerging economies grew, global governance structures evolved. The G20 became the principal forum for international economic coordination. Belt and Road Initiative (BRI), China's BRI, seeks to expand trade and infrastructure links across Asia, Africa, and Europe, enhancing its geopolitical and economic influence. Technological ambitions. Through policies like Made in China 2025, the country aims to lead in sectors like AI, semiconductors, and electric vehicles. U.S.-China rivalry. The rise of China has intensified. Economic and strategic competition with the United States, evident in trade wars, supply chain decoupling, and the push for technological self-sufficiency. 3. The Fourth Industrial Revolution and Changes in Economic Paradigms. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, 4IR, a term popularized by Klaus Schwab, denotes the fusion of digital, physical, and biological technologies. It is characterized by exponential growth in areas like artificial intelligence (AI), robotics, Internet of Things (IoT), and biotechnology. A. Characteristics of 4IR: hyperconnectivity, 5G, cloud computing, and IoT. Enables seamless interaction between devices, systems, and humans. Automation and AI, machine learning, and robotics are transforming industries from manufacturing to finance to healthcare. Biotech and genomics advances in gene editing, e.g., CRISPR and personalized medicine, herald a revolution in healthcare. Platform economies. Digital platforms like Amazon, Google, and Alibaba create new business models, redefining markets and consumer behavior. B. Economic implications. Disruption of labor markets. While new jobs are created in tech and innovation sectors, traditional jobs are at risk of automation. This exacerbates the need for lifelong learning and skills upgrading. Productivity and growth. If harnessed well, 4IR technologies can boost productivity. However, benefits may be unevenly distributed. Digital divide, unequal access to technology, and education can deepen global and domestic inequalities. Policy challenges. Governments face dilemmas over data governance, privacy, AI ethics, and digital taxation. Climate change and sustainable economic development. As climate change accelerates, it poses not only an environmental threat, but a systemic economic risk. Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, biodiversity loss, and resource scarcity are affecting every continent and economic system. Economic costs of climate change. Physical damage. Floods, wildfires, and hurricanes destroy infrastructure, disrupt agriculture, and threaten lives. Insurance losses are mounting. Migration and conflict, climate-induced displacement, and resource scarcity can spark social unrest and conflict, particularly in vulnerable regions. Agricultural disruption. Crop yields are increasingly unpredictable, affecting global food security and price stability. B. Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). The UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development provides a comprehensive framework linking economic, social, and environmental priorities. Key goals include ending poverty and hunger, promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth, combating climate change and its impacts. C. Transition to green economies. Green technologies, renewable energy, solar, wind, electric vehicles, and green hydrogen are essential to decarbonization. Carbon pricing and regulation. Carbon taxes and emissions trading schemes are being adopted to internalize environmental costs. Sustainable finance, ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing is shifting capital towards sustainable enterprises. Just transition. Policymakers must ensure that the shift to green economies is equitable, supporting workers and communities reliant on carbon-intensive sectors. Conclusion. The 21st century global economy is undergoing profound transformation. From the shocks of financial crises to the meteoric rise of China, the digital revolution, and the existential challenge of climate change, traditional economic models are being tested. Navigating this complex landscape requires adaptive governance, international cooperation, and an unwavering commitment to equity and sustainability. The global economy is no longer solely about growth. It must be about resilient, inclusive, and ecologically responsible development.